amazing. Yes, I'm at the tune-in room here, the tune-in epicenter here in Cardiff with the amazing, the legend of all legends, Mr. Rhys Thomas. Yes, every time I say it, you can see he almost humbles it back to me. No, don't say that. There's better people than me. No. Yes, there's always people that are better than us, but not better than we are.
I don't think of it like that, but it's a very beautiful stuff.
It truly. And here's the thing: this is our final episode, and we went right back to the beginning. We did the whole red jersey life on our last episode. Now we talked about the transition, the hardness of the transition, and we talked about the loneliness of that transition, how you were left behind, basically. And again, that's not a negative. It's just data fact.
Yeah,
that's what we do
by
in
experience.
Here. Yes, data fact of your experience. But here's the thing. I met you here at the tune-in room because you were coming in to see the amazing Rosie and the CFR. I don't want to call it treatment. Experience, yes. That has been a part of your process, and you know, coming here, you feel in the tune room has been a huge part of that support system, that process. And you know, she's a magician in whatever she does, because whatever she touches turns to emotional gold. And that's fact here. She's amazing, and as a CFR, brilliance is what I'd like to say. And you know, that cranial ballooning do you feel it's been a part of opening you back up as a person, or making you more aware?
I mean, it's come at a time in my process where I've gone through a lot of different holistic alternative options, but very wholesome. And I suppose CFR was more through inquiry. Yeah. And I stumbled across it more than anything. I stumbled across the tuning room. So, and then obviously since I've been here, just the place is just very different to any orthodox type of body work in their approach. It's like more mind, body, spirit. It's a holistic approach. It's not this, you know, come here, what's wrong with you? I'm going to treat that area or give you some stuff to work away with. It's very different to that. And then I've had a lot of professional help with the best physios and all this kind of stuff. But it's been very different from all of those experiences. And I'm just shy of 2 months in, and my body feels massive reduction in pain. Wow. Huge feeling of alignment with my nervous system and being really attuned to how my nervous system is. Yeah. You know, deeply connected to my feelings, my emotions, my pain, but understanding my pain and where it's coming from. And its attachment to emotional pain and how that's showing up in the body. So like coming here was that the timing was right. And I called it in at the end of 23. I don't do New Year's resolutions, but for my new year, I look back, I reflect, then I also look forward, and I manifest what I wish. And my manifesting of 2024, I must say, mate, is strong because I called in community, I called in healing my body, but also to alignment and balance. And along came Tom, Rosie in the tuning room, which was a huge part of that, and then the community and stuff is forming beautifully behind that.
And let me jump in here, because you know, before you met the tuning room, you were on this new awakening, this new opening, this person that become more aware of you internally. Yeah. Where, you know, previously it's been external awareness. Yeah. Now it's, and do you
ego
feel
consciousness?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And also you've become an expert in the understanding of breath work. And when I say breath work, you know, let me just kind of round that up for you. I'd not experienced that until I've been here, the power of working with your breath consciously, the power of going through different breath exercises, and how that, you know, adds a currency, a self-currency, and I say a breath currency back in, the healing that comes with constructive and coached breath work is phenomenal. It's beautiful. Now this
the
is a part of your life.
Yeah. I mean, it's deeply, I mean, there's so many elements to the breath, right? Obviously, other than keeping us alive.
And we take it for granted.
Of course, I mean, many of us aren't even conscious of our process of breathing. We're so disconnected from mind and body, never mind spirit. And so it's been a huge, beautiful reconnection with my life force, you know, my breath. And with it has come a whole level of ascension and expansion that I didn't quite understand when I got into it. I got into it purely out of an experience. It was experiential. I did a men's retreat, and I did a breath work, a type of breath work that's actually called biodynamic breath work. So with a brother of mine called Matt Dunn at a retreat called Men Without Masks. And it was just the most insane. I've done a lot of therapy at this point, and it was just something so wholly different, such a huge release of trauma and deep reverence to the body and releasing and forgiveness of my body, and how I treated my heart. And it was really profound experience. And from that, I felt a deep calling to learn the work, to then take that out into the world. And that's what I did. I studied on the beautiful course called Intricates of Breath. I studied for 8 months, did a week immersion, and came out of that with the experience about how to deliver conscious connected breath, but from a place of being trauma informed, having a huge ethics in practice, but also just a deeper understanding of self.
Wow. And
it was a beautiful experience. And then more recently, I've gone into the more science-based, functional side of breath work. So biochemistry, biomechanics, and psychophysiological effects of the breath, and how it impacts us on a fundamental level with the nervous system, our mind-body connection. It basically is the greatest way to alter our states and to shift states.
Wow.
But also to create altered states of consciousness, but also can be of immense use in regards to, with conscious connected breath, particularly for trauma release and management of stress, and also help to sleep.
That's the alarm he's supposed to be leaving. Yeah.
You can edit that part.
No, I'm going to leave it in there. He's supposed to be leaving.
So it's been a beautiful process. But, you know, through that thread of greater awareness and relationship and connection with the body, of which it's given me a tremendous amount of maturity in my emotional understanding about being more in touch with my feelings, to understand my energies, my feminine and my masculine energies, and how the breath ties in with all of that, and how we can really up-regulate or down-regulate our nervous system to suit any occasion, moment, place. I mean, I did a down-regulating breathwork session on the way into here today, mate, before this talk, and just did it in the car. You know, it's very simple, very, very amazing way to put yourself in a position to.
Now, I mean, Rhys Thomas is a product. It's also yourself. I'm going to put that out there. But here's the thing: is that, you know, my understanding is from the jungle drums of this industry is that you're becoming very well known for these breathwork workshops. I'm hearing that.
Okay.
And there's also the gazing, because you do your own events now.
Yeah.
And you know, it's when I listen to you talk about the breathwork and I listen to you talk about your rugby, there's two very different vocabularies and very different understandings of yourself.
Yeah. And
you know, what I'm seeing here is that when you talk about the breath work, there's such a different realization of your human self, your aware self, compared to 10, 20 years ago, we could say.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about the quality, though, of what you're experiencing about yourself now, could we say that supersedes what you experience as a professional rugby player?
By miles.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the difference, it's chalk and cheese, man.
And it is they're two different ecosystems.
Yeah.
But this ecosystem, you know, humanly, how rewarding is that on you compared to the rewards of?
I mean, you know, being in the spotlight, all of the temptations and that being aligned with that ego consciousness, with materialism, with consumerism, with that world that within that matrix, that construct, it is the pinnacle for the ego in that, you know, and my ego just loved it. But that dissolving and the understanding of my ego, but more importantly, my shadow, was a huge change. It was a huge transformation. And in doing that, the transformation was in my perspective too. And it was a complete mindset change. And the more then, the greater self-awareness, self-realization, the ability for me to connect with self at a deep level, at the level of the heart, a level of the gut.
Wow.
To be connected to my feelings, my emotions, to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to take responsibility for my actions, for my emotions, for my feelings, and to know that I am actually in charge of my experience. And reality is a creation of how I feel inside.
Yeah.
And my perception is being driven from that place. So I learned this through suffering. And through my suffering, it took me to my rock bottom. And from that rock bottom was born or reborn a man who was deeply troubled. Deeply, deeply troubled.
Wow, what a share.
Yeah.
What a share. I mean, that was heart on tape.
Yeah.
That was just beautiful. And this transition, this remembering of who you are, of always been, as I feel has shaped this new influencer. Because you are influencing our people's ability to connect, reconnect, see a greater size of who they are, you know, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, biologically. You are now bringing that into the essence of your workshops, your keynote talks. Your keynote speaks everywhere, man. You know what I mean? Your keynote talks and
LinkedIn.
And let's get that out there. You're on LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn.
Well,
Instagram. Rhys Thomas. And then Instagram Rhys_Thomas33.
And is there an email or anything we can get hold of?
www.realrysthomas.com.
Okay, and guess what? We're going to put all these details out with every video, so they're going to be there anyway. It's hugely important, you know. And we haven't promoted anything up to this given point because we've talked through your story. Yeah. But you are a business now. You're a new business.
Indeed.
You are now what we consider to be someone that's creating human beings, not human doings. You were a human doing. You're now a human being that understands your spiritual self. Understand you now have what we say is the ability to hear your awareness inwardly and your awareness outwardly simultaneously. They are true people that have gone through that inside out process. And you feel that you're only now just touching on the reality of who you have been all your life.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a big question.
I was deeply wounded, you know, and I carried that through my life, and it's still there. And, you know, that inner child work will always need taking care of, and compassion and empathy. But, yeah, I mean, the feeling element is the beautiful part of it, right? And, yes, my work, in most part, is the allowing, offering people a way back to themselves, you know, back to their hearts. Back to the intuition, the knowing, the wisdom of the body. Yeah. Because we all live from so much in our society from the chin up. And we're all locked in this hell of that can be the mind, especially in this high stress, high expectation, very material, and sadly, you know, so much darkness in that is out there, but there's also so much beauty as well. And but I think often we just get very bogged down by it. But yeah, it's
Could I touch into acceptance?
Yeah.
Now, making this transition, now this new shape, has there been a pushback? No, that's Rhys Thomas. He's rugby boy. He's not an airy-fairy spiritual worker doing breath work. Has there been an easy acceptance, do you feel, or have you just transitioned into a new support system?
I mean, the support system has been myself, right? Understanding that everything I need is within me for everything. But it's also very important to understand that I too I have certain needs, and my highest values are connection, friendship, love. For me to be in my full power, to be fully myself, being authentic, stepping into my power, and being me. That is my superpower. But then equally, when I'm not there, when I'm in my shadow, I'm the opposite of those things.
Okay.
You know, I'm very isolated. I can be quite, angry almost. And so that connection also falls away. So it's having awareness about it when I'm in those spaces. And I am very rarely in those places, to be honest with you. It does happen.
Listen, I get it. When I dip fast, and my wife will tell you. And, I have my own, I would say, self-medication. Mine is I bury myself on my bike.
Right.
That's my outlet, my exhaust. I have to have something.
Mine's connection. Meaningful connection, not just waffle. Because I'm 4.5 years sober. So, I mean, the old, bullshit conversation down the pub just doesn't work for you anymore. And I don't want to talk about waffle, about what's going on with your next door neighbor. I want to know how you're feeling. I want to know what's in your heart. If it's sadness, if it's joy, if it's grief. Like I want to know. If you're willing to tell me, because these are the conversations that have any substance. I feel people without substance now, I just don't really have a lot of time for in my life. That's not. I still obviously, I interact and I have a lot of acquaintances, but my friendship circle is incredibly small. And I have a lot of incredible friends that are dotted around the world. I have really great communities that I delve into when I go away throughout the UK, around the world. But, this is something that I'm really trying to build in South Wales, is a conscious community, is a community of human beings that are leading from the heart, that are authentic, that can speak their truth, that understand their feelings, their emotions, that have a level of maturity beyond ego consciousness, that are deeply grounded, and that are responsible. They can own their emotions, their shit, their actions.
Man, I can see
rare.
these Rhys Thomas, Rhys Thomas out in the wilderness, and these back to basics, loving who you are. That's retreats. I can see these happening, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is the work I do. It's ultimately about bringing people back to themselves. For us to be the best versions of ourselves, and that is by being authentic. But very often we don't know who we truly are, because we're so off our true north. And I think for me that was the case. I can only speak from my own level of experience, but for me I was so far off my true north. But my North Star now is integrity. I have a very clear why, I have a very clear purpose. And I know that to do that, I also need to practice what I preach. So that alignment for me comes with, the work that I'm doing is the work that I also do and have done on myself. And that allows me to show up in an authentic way, to be leading from the heart, to speak my truth, to be integral. Because without that level of integrity, everything I'm doing is a missile.
Wow.
It's bullshit.
Wow.
And I mean, there's a lot of bullshitters in this world right now.
I mean, there's a lot of unconscious people living unconsciously. And, that is the case. And, for yourself, you speak enlightenment now. So clearly there was, when you were at that place of flatline, the enlightenment then hit hard in such a beautiful way that it helped you raise back through your life ranks. And what I'm seeing here is, what I want to share is what I'm seeing is this journey that you've just started on, or that's actually in the recognition of these episodes we did, is just a sort of a tip of the iceberg of where you're going to be and what you're going to do. It's clear that everything that you've been through in your life, the mapping of that has been so perfect for this right now, which is for the greater of, the greater of thought health, heart health, breathe health, human being health. And, I wish that, Welsh Rugby Union had a Rhys Thomas right now in every club that was able to connect with the human beings that are considered Iron Men. The only reason why I'm bringing that in is you've been there, you are now.
I think there's definitely a shift, right? We're starting to see a lot more conscious, organizations, a lot more conscious people, taking responsibility for their actions, but also still having fun along the way. Don't get me wrong, we're not the fun police here, mate. But so we're not the fun police, and I'm a huge advocate of play. But I think very often our play has been clouded in poor cultural development over the many centuries, and sadly in the West. So it's a reconnecting with our that lost ancestry that we have.
Wow.
Because we are a species with amnesia, as Graham Hancock says. We've lost our way culturally in this country, and we are obsessed with self in a really unhealthy way, actually. That's almost narcissistic kind of way.
Wow.
Which is quite and I was caught in that, right? So I can speak to all of this because I was so attached to my identity and the construct that I found myself in, that I had built, that I got told that if I achieve all these things, that it would bring me happiness, wealth, prosperity, family, friends. And don't get me wrong, from the outside in, I had those things, but it was never enough.
Yeah.
I was empty.
Wow.
And external gratification was what the culture was telling me that I needed to do to fill myself.
Wow, external gratification, that's such a disease, eh?
And this is what it became. This is the disease of consumerism, materialism, was that I was thinking that I need to have more. Excess is more. Yeah. More of this, more of that, the new shiny thing, more, bigger house, fancier car, better watch, different friends. All these types of things that we can, all this eye candy.
And it seems such a long time ago that. And where you are now, this journey, we would say, hasn't been as long as your rugby journey, but yet you've grown more in this space of time than what you did during there. Where are we going from here now? Where do you feel Rhys is going to be 2 years from now?
Oh, God knows. Who knows? I mean, the growth is exponential currently, and in many ways it's a growth that is much needed for myself. I was a man child, as most men in our society are right now, right? Sadly. And I was a man child. So it's been able to be also just gentle, no expectation, but just to be humble, to learn, be an open book, be a sponge. The more I learn, the less I know. It's about acknowledging the work that I'm doing, about constant expansion, open-mindedness, learning from different teachers, different exercises, different coaches. All of these things are where I'm at and where I'm going. And, I've still got challenges. I need a heart transplant. My kids are growing up, and they're my greatest teachers in many ways, They're in their mid to late teens. And these experiences are so real, right? And it's such a reality check in many ways. And then you've got the challenges that the world faces currently, which are heavy on the collective energy.
Yeah,
I feel, and I do feel it, and so there's always challenges, but there is the power of spirit for me has been incredibly powerful. To find, spirit, to find the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, right, has been like probably one of my greatest assets during my transformation.
Wow.
To be able to to surrender to a higher power, to believe in that there's someone that can help me. And I've defined what my God looks like, but that it's very open. Yeah. It's fluid. I mean, I don't follow a certain script. I don't have a framework for but I believe deeply. I have a deep, profound connection with that belief, and I trust that I just know this process that I'm in is correct. Wow. And I will make mistakes, and I will do things wrong. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. And have I got deeply ingrained behavioral patterns? Yes. And and are my needs always met? No. And am I going to behave correctly at all times? Absolutely no chance. Yeah. But I'll also own those times. Yeah. And I have awareness around those things and my shadow when I'm in my ego. Yeah. So it's just always coming back to center, being balanced, doing the work, and being of service to others. And that's what I'm doing, bro. So that's how I show up in the world today. I show up for myself. I show up for my children. I try to be a pillar of community, of light for others, and just try to show that change is possible. Wow. And that the light and everything you desire resides within. Yeah. And sometimes it's just tapping into that. And how do we find the power and the courage to turn the gaze inward? Because sometimes that we find familiarity in familiar chaos than we do with the idea of thriving away from that uncomfortableness, that fear that prevents us from actually looking, for a different way than in the way we are escaping, soothing.
Rhys, what an internal share of philosophy, eh? That's just beautiful. And here's where we are. You will find Rhys Thomas on social media. You will find him on Google. Just reach out. This man is amazing. Your story is, not your story, your blueprint is just beautiful. There is so much more to come here. And why do we do these deep dives? Why do we do these deep dives, Rhys? Because of the severity of change, the sharpness of shape, the roundness of its consistency, but above all, the absolute overcome, and then the unconditional share that's now coming from Rhys that actually wasn't taught in life. Standing there with cap in hand, hoping to get some kind of help after having to leave the sport that he loved, and then finding your own way back. But it wasn't your own way. It was a way that you were always meant to be in, and it's been beautiful. Do look him up. Do reach out to him. Pull him into your workplace, because this man does beautiful breath work. And trust me, when your businesses, when your employees, when your families, when you experience Rhys's work, it will change your life. It is beautiful. Thank you so much for these shares. Behind the curtain with the amazing, the beautiful Rhys Thomas. Happy days.